Yeah. Okay. Welcome everybody to this live podcast. Apologies for the little bit small delay. As you miss our technology, so play up a little bit. But anyways, we miss our continuing podcast. So welcome to this podcast where Yumi will talk about some issues that really matter to Yumi as a people and as a nation. So my name is Caleb, and I'm joined here by Joel. Discussing with our opposition leader, Honourable Matthew Wale, the Member of Parliament for Auki Langa, and he's also the parliamentary wing leader for the Solomon Islands Democratic Party. And this whole subject for today is a subject where I'm at the heart of Yumi everyone as a people and the community, which is education bloomy. Education is a foundation to the progress of our country, where hem not only shaping no individual, but hem bara shaping the future of our country. So whether you want for educator or you teacher at home, or you want for parent or student, or someone who you care about him, no future of the country, believe me, this will talk story for you now. So please, there'll be a time where you say, give him questions in the comment section. Then we'll go through those questions later on through this talk story. So welcome. So this week, we know about the exam results. Outlaw newspaper, outlaw Facebook, social media, staka pikinin, look for name blota, lo newspaper for if they pass or if they fail. Honourable, as these results come out, you put in the newspaper that there's a high fail rate for the Form 7. It not happened this year no more, but it happened last year, last 2 years, happened for a long time now. So when you see this, what are you thinking? What does this reflect about the society, Bloomy man? Or what does this reflect about our priorities inside the education system, Bloomy? Or what does it show about us as a country and how we prepare our young people for their future, man? What do you think about that?
Thank you, Caleb and Joel, for another podcast and a round of pounding, but I'll get very important issues, and some of it, obviously policy issues, but others where you, me, even outside of a policy discussion must be concerned about. And education, hemi, much broader than just say you mean educating for jobs. Of course, we're educating for the economy. So jobs, you mean must serve what now the economy is going to do. So educating for the economy and jobs is important. But also education hemi one for a key foundation or pillar of how you may build in society. Below you may Solomon Islands. We want respectful, cohesive, society. Diverse, colorful, yet but respectful. Or it's something you must build him inside society. So it goes beyond the economy, and of course for the individual. I think those it will so it will Savlo Florence Young. Well, Florence Young him say, Barava purpose below education for come Savlo Jesus, for take him life blue, because once you Savlo Jesus, everything else falls into place. Him no say. You serve Lord Jesus, no need for school, no more, no sales. But bar of a primary objective, the greatest knowledge that one can accrue is the knowledge of God our Savior. So at the individual level, dignity blow you me as individuals, as human beings created in God's image, am somewhat distorted or retarded or a little bit blunted. Time education him not complete. And therefore, it ought to be everybody's concern, community, chief, tribes, extended family, and especially parents and Pignini, to be concerned about education below each one. In the first instance, he must start inside the family, inside the household. Mommy and daddy, work hard, make sure Pignini school good, Pignini less for school, take him no school, encourage him, no whip him, no discourage him. These are all very important things. And of course, him not just education or classroom, him come back, encourage him the homework, and giving him the kinds of values education where perhaps classroom in a 40-minute period no got him time for doing.
Yeah.
The other, of course, and perhaps the much more significant responsibility, of government. And you touched a little bit of failure rate here. And I've said this before, so I'm probably repeating myself. But system of education is not a system to educate. It's a system to fail people. We're not producing educated graduates. We're producing failures. And that is with the greatest of respect to those whose names have missed out long or recent lists will come out. No Solomon Islander is a failure. But system here no more make you failure. They're not labeled, oh, me fail. No more, you know, failure. System here no more. And so you will see in that statement where we make him, government must look here, ministry must look him. How do we produce an education system where Hemi produce him now or get the graduates, people who graduate with skills, values, to be active and productive in society and the economy, and as individuals to have, balanced self-esteem and can live as responsible citizens wherever they choose to be active. So I think big failure lo part block government.
Yeah.
You me look also, you me just go ahead, do want something where you me do come before. Kakam, you me go ahead more, by you will go ahead more, without reflecting on what it is we're missing.
Just repeating the same problem.
You me go ahead no more.
Yeah, man. So you talk about the individual, and you talk about society as a whole. And you may come and you say that in a small number to fail, big number for good. And remember happened for many years. And you talk about him, the failures, where government him doing. But what do you think we can practically do to really, in our ability to really help our next generation where Ota fail, man? Like what can we do where those where the failure? How can we ensure? Because misawe, Ota fail one, Ota student failure, they're not bad students. I'm pretty sure some of the students Ota garam A, garam B, GPA Ota high no man, but Ota na garam space. So what does this mean for us? To really ensure and nurture these students where system call out a failure, but what can we say to them and nurture them for their future? What do you think we can do for them?
Well, I think the problem has become chronic, or some happen all the way, and in our culture, you may accept them no more now. Picking an emblem no appeal or list for Form 1 or no appeal list for Form 4 or for Form 6 or for Form 7 and say, me failure now. Me go find waka or me little bit lulu around no more or, relax a little bit. So it's become a sort of an accepted part of our culture and society that there are those kids where I'll get a name no appear for goal or next level of education. It just time you may look low statistics. Now you may realize that's the majority of students here. Para winning more than half now.
Yes.
Los students were interim system now failure. And therefore what do we do? Unfortunately, because hem got structural problems too. We don't have the classroom space and long out rural training centers or vocational training schools, no any space. And if there is space, no enough equipment or tools for get barolandim some good useful skills. And if there were, then perhaps not enough qualified teachers. So these are structural issues that cannot be fixed overnight, but they can be addressed. And they can be addressed not in the long term, in the midterm. Over perhaps a 3-year period. Look at the demand and supply for classroom spaces, for equipment, for teachers. And we have, Pisco, before Pisco, Mival Samalman, Pisco Titisa Mival Samal something. So we've got overseas volunteers from countries that have long overcome these issues that could assist us as a short term for plugging out the gaps here. But we need to be thinking ahead and what we need and then, putu moget needs below me front lol keta. But by happen only if you me acknowledge them as a need there, And you mean no struggle selebu with him. Any big challenge, yeah? But we can overcome it. The other thing me like for say also, you know, time government hemi last government, bar our like him to us hosting Pacific Games. You may spend them of our own money more than 2 billion at least Solomon dollars. Lo own selling blame lo budget blame
for the Pacific Games.
For Pacific Games. And Pacific Games finish, then you me how? You me hanan round no more follow mogatoroti.
Because we here time Pacific Games calendar school calendar katsotu.
Yeah, school no important now. Everyone must go low. Time me go kasim temotu me ask him what time school finish? Yeah. Oh, me will finish lo October. Why? Oh, because Pacific. Me will Pacific game lo hilo River Island too. Everyone sing out now. The whole education system throughout the whole country, and me start late because of COVID, and then finish early because of Pacific Games. Just a sense of priority. I mean, no straight, but nothing straight. But in terms of our investment, dollar investment to education system now, also meeting him. We're much more prepared to spend more than $2 billion in a sporting event. Nice something, important too, but surely not as important as the education. Imagine if we spend that more than $2 billion in building classrooms and TVET classes, buying equipment, machinery for students, practical lohem, and producing the teachers for those. Imagine had we invested that $2 billion lohem. Man, we could fix this problem in 2 years.
Ensuring that every student passes and the education journey continues. Yeah?
So as a matter of economic policy, and me encourage him last government and obviously by this government too, go count. This one now for count for him. Count and fix the challenges of the education system. Because the future must be built from the bottom up, and education now in Barawa lame foundation for it. So we must count for him. Count for road him good, by road a pothole, then find him back to square one. Count for CDF good, but about man casino, darang kilo him no one finish, me back to square one. But education is the sustainable investment that you must count for him.
If you touch look Kalsa Blumi, some attitudes towards people who have failed. Maybe you should elaborate more, expand lohem. Are there particular societal attitudes where or towards education or waka or success that him need for change? And how na ba mi go about for change him if something for change him na a problem too? Imi sabi education is a key for changing culture.
Yeah, so firstly, education is also the great equalizer. Man where you school good, man where no school good, picking blow it for everyone, got them equal opportunity if it will go in low education system and work hard everyone and go. Man where got them something finish. Picking blow him no necessarily better. Excuse me.
Sure, no what to do.
So education has that capacity for equalizer in society. Secondly, I think you will have this experience yourself that, Ogeta where perhaps because system and failing Oget before, where two might not take him education as him serious too. Ogeting him, me alright no more. Me class 6 finish, no me finish, me work a carpenter, no more, me go, me work a house, look at him nice house. And rightly so, of course. But the days are changing. The world is a much smaller place now. Population have increased, and there's much more competition for limited opportunities and resources available. So situation is different, context is different. We need more and more, if not all, of our children to be educated. So that, unfortunately, a little bit part of culture, yeah. The other is, I was talking actually to one fella, Asian, a diplomat a few years ago, and he made this point to me. He said, "You will no poor also me lo Asia. Lo Asia time man hem poor, hem bara true poor no. Hem no say when up hem kilo day. So he must go do him whatever. If him find him a little bit work no more to pay rav him must work go for very small money. You fella man can work today, me pay him straight lo him, but him no happy, him go all the way now. Cause in village no block come back for work now. You will no appreciate him worker. And I think perhaps that thing like education too. You may not fully appreciate him because you may not destitute, or some bar of absolutely totally poor now. Poor both of opportunity and of resources. You me, man no garim waka or no school, go back home, plant him keiki, life no keiki, or go fishing and also. So resources are still available. But we must not wait until we are destitute and we are totally abject, poverty and kasimiumi. So it is a matter where all of society must be harnessed, lohem, but I think government must play a primary responsibility, lohem.
Yeah, I'm like, you touched on parents and how they influence the pikini lane. But we have this system where I'm creating failures, as you mentioned at the start there. What does this mean for parents' role this time? That you send in pikini go to school, chances blame for pass and fail him. There's no certainty that pikini by pass. I mean, like, right now, you by garam, let's say parents or families coming to you for ask for school fee, and if you knowing in the back of your mind that by you pay school fee, but by pikini pass or by fail, what does this make you? What does this make you, think or make you feel like when you reflect on this? How can or what is the role of a parent, or what does this really mean when you say you're setting up a child for fail?
Yeah, pikini where he come from a home where there is encouragement, there is emotional support, there is spiritual support, him psychologically in front now, 100 meters in front now, so really the home is
the first school.
Bar of a first stage, him go lo kindi, no more, but him start lo home first time, inside lo family. If daddy and mommy raw always no more picking him feel insecure and him frightened of him, school might become a place to escape to rather than a place to look forward to go and learn new things. So role blow mommy and daddy and all the elder siblings and extended family are critical. Yeah. The kind of students we want to encourage Los Solomon Islands must be the kind of student where he look forward. He wake up early in the morning because he look forward for go to classroom. He look forward for go here, not because he run away from house, boring house or raw house, no more, because he's going to go and learn new things he excited about. That's the kind of student we want. Yeah. And we have, all of our students are like that, because all human beings learn intuitively. They pick up new things and excited by it. So the other side we have now is we must have a teacher who's going to stand in front of them who is exciting them to learn. Or but look forward for God, because by teacher explain himself something more in ways that they relate to, they truly understand. And not say, tomorrow we must come back more. And that's the kind of teacher we must produce too, yeah? And I suspect that with the greatest of respect to many of our teachers, that teacher is a bit rare in our system at the moment. The questions of pedagogy and approach and also. So by feedback in the system, I must come back to School of Education, lo senior. Me herem kailebi one for kind teacher.
Used to be.
Hey, you like a runaway mona? He was Jonah Moy.
taking a different route, but by still education yet.
Yeah, I think me find him that one true for me celebrate me for class 4 of Florence Young. I got him for teacher from Jennifer Van Wyk at that time. But him barawa teacher were inspire him group me, especially me I talk for myself, but I'm sure my whole class was very inspired by the way him teach, deliver lessons for him, help push me on. Now you touch law economy as one of the reasons for education. So maybe we can explore that a little bit in terms of economy. Believe me, when so many young people are unable for continual education, for find them difficulty for reaching full potential block at what now this one meaning for country, believe me, in terms of productivity, in terms of innovation, potential economic growth. What now this one him got him, or what now impact him lo economy, believe me.
Yeah, you see, development below Solomon Islands, hemi must minim, but at the moment does not, but he must minim development of Solomon Islanders. And development of Solomon Islanders, him start now education. So the system has to be designed in a way that hemi develop him Solomon Islanders, so that time mogad living system, they're capable of, one, identifying opportunity, both in jobs, employment space, but also in business and other spheres, innovation and also, but also then harnessing those opportunities. So to the extent that education system can produce him those who, or say fail, name no appeal system, with the kind of stigma that comes with it, those people will now be looking for anything no more. Or say, him might not be something of interest lo him, or gifted lo him, or talented lo him, or called to, but he needs to earn an income. So him find him anything no more for doing. That's not in itself bad, but from an economic standpoint, it's not the most strategic allocation of human resource. And so, but him start coming education system, because him no well thought out, and we're forcing students out of the system through this failure process system. So that on him no good for economy. Of course, at the top end of the economy is not producing the opportunities and the kind of jobs that Ogat people really need him. And this one too, hemi part law a broader problem. It's a broader malay. It's a broader decay in leadership. There is a lack of vision, not only in this government, has been in the last government, previous government, and go back for many, many governments, that there has not been a clear vision of where now you may look in this economy by him go over the next 30 to 50 years, and therefore what kind of values, skills, equipping now students believe me need him so that we can build that economy. We've been stuck in a very extractive, exploitative kind of economy where you come, you cut him tree, you pull him go down, put him lo badge, send him lo China. Now, tree start for loose, you take him excavator, go dig him ground, put him lo badge, put him lo steamer, send him go ground, go lo China, then no pay him come royalty and tax. And no one in government believe me. That's their vision, or their blindness, more accurately. And it's very unfortunate. It's very tragic. We must have, at the national level, a vision for the economy over the next 30, 50 years that then informs what we do with everything else. It informs what we do in health too, and in security, and so forth. And it also informs our foreign policy and international relations, how we build bilateral relationships, what we look for in those relationships, to harness the relationships to look at the key areas of the economy where him realistically reasonable for him to build him, rather than talking about pie in the sky stuff that will never happen here. That then creates opportunities for our people. And we're not talking many, many years. We can do it over 4 or 5 years. It sounds a long time, but unfortunately, because this has been going on for so long, we will need a number of years to turn the economy to something more productive and more inspiring to our young. We must do it, but government has the primary leadership responsibility.
Yeah. And just following up on the country's economic needs, and what do you think are the current needs of this country, where education system limits are setting up the young people that when they finish school, go straight into their job now. And so for you, what do you think? What are the needs? Is it agriculture or technology, or what are some of those main needs you think that if a young person was listening right now,
well, the immediate, when I say immediate, the immediate long term. So we have to, when we're thinking about the kind of economy you mean like for building the Solomon Islands, you must think in first, say, 20 years, and then after that, the next 30, so 50 years. So in that 50 years, me thinking below me is realistically, the economy you must build in law 4 areas. One, law agriculture, production, farming and also. 2, agriculture processing, and then fisheries processing. And 3. And then tourism, and me, bar the biggest one, 4. If we only harnessed even just one of those, I think we can multiply our current employment levels 5 times. Then we'll go by me run out a lot of money. Then you me just ask him about waku. You will come waka. But this time what come waka out man blame me liul volum rot. I think we have the potential to achieve 100% full employment in this country, and we would need migrant workers. Then you me ask him about Australia. Come katem sugar cane blomi valmo.
Yeah.
Also, you me sabi do you me? I mean, you just think about agriculture, for example, coconuts, just one crop. And the value of coconut, GDP contribution of coconut as a crop at the moment, and that same crop elsewhere is contributing 10, 20 times more. There is empirical evidence from coconut producing countries. And you ask, oh, why we are producing same dry nuts a year, and what we earn for it, also no more, and number of jobs create also no. Why not another country also? And just because of a lack of vision. So if we said that was coconut, then we said then cocoa more, then banana more, then cassava more, kava more. Agriculture self, you may run out lot man for work now. And once you call bonito more fisheries, and crab, mud crab, blue lot, arika. Man, by me narwe. So creating opportunity and jobs, it's limitless. We have the resources and the land for it. We have the people for it. What is lacking is the vision to connect the dots.
Then we can no longer be dependent on aid now.
We must stand on our own feet. This one the most embarrassing and shameful thing, but you can't say no. You must ask him out for help now, because that's where our leaders over many years have put us. This is why leadership is so important. This is why you young people must engage. And more of you must get into parliament. But not just parliament, or province, and also to other levels of leadership. But young people must take up these challenges.
You talk about kavana, I'm just happy na.
Hey, farmer, man.
Mana ba farm larare. You me kamlo economy, they me kamlo policy. One of the main reason or key reasons since I think 2016, imi lukimlo statements from Ministry of Education, is that I could say reason why staka students blaming or go through na is because of lack of classrooms. Yet reason seems to be the reason for how many years come now. Isn't that reason him reflecting more of the lack of priority law government? Because it seems to me that him no reason not to tell him all come, and lack of planning and prioritization from government itself.
You see, you get a sense of priority from having a vision. So I would say, sense of priority, but it's a derivative, it's a derived problem. The foundational problem is there is no vision. So because there is an absence of that overall vision, therefore, when we come to resource allocation questions, sense of priority have no reflect.
Right.
I mean, education budget is already about a third of the entire budget. So that is good. It must stop also. That's just to keep the system going. What we're talking about it is to jump the curve to a completely new curve. That's why before me say, the education sector is so core to the economy that we should be borrowing for it. It's a productive borrowing. And build those classrooms, those science labs. STEM must become mainstream from kindy now, go up, so that we are, producing scientists and innovators and Elon Musks and people like that. No, look down, lo me. Say, what money? What lo America? You come from where? You Bono Adam, everyone know where. Milo USP some years ago when I was on the USP Council, and me go complain now lo head blow School of Accounting, one for a professor. Me say, man, you fail him stuck a student blow me too much, man. Me no send him students come for come fail. You know me you fail him mogate. And his retort was, him say, students believe weak too much lo math. And upon reflection, I had to agree with him. And it's not because as Solomon Islanders, we're idiots. No anything else. All human beings are capable of math. It's, I think, because of pedagogy. I think it's a structural problem in our education system that therefore, at beginning me, no like a math. As a general observation, that's my conclusion. And so you must encourage him. We must have top scientists here. So you know, when I was talking about that 50-year economy, the first 20 and then 30, well, upon 50 years, the next economy is going to be that. The rest of the world will be in quantum technology. We have to catch up. You may not look down low, you may pull all the way, you may wait for big number of donors. No, 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 we've got to pull ourselves up. And that economy, we have to be, the information economy, we've got to be real players in it, given our scale and size. But if we don't see that, we don't have a vision for that 50, 60-year cycle, then it's very difficult to look and work backwards and say, therefore, what must we do now to begin the process to lay the foundations for all the years we're back come here? That's a question for leaders here. But it's not just for leaders. I think in young people, those of you who have had a university education and are engaging in political discourse, policy discourse, you must think around him. You own more of that challenge than many of us who are currently in leadership, who are, facing the sunset. So you must take it up and be thinking about it and advocating for it. But meeting him, these are the serious challenges. This is the big picture we're talking about. Everything else also might fall in their places. I mean, small picks a little bit after that. Huh?
Yeah, man. Like you're talking about, when in a crisis, and young people to stand up, because we don't want for this crisis to continue. Next year, student fail, it carries on. What do you think will really determine if by you misabi succeed or fail? Misabi you talk strong about vision, having a vision. Para truna, coming back to us as young people, being empowered to stand up. But what do you think really will determine if we succeed or we will fail in addressing this issue of failure?
Yeah, I think in the midterm, I think government has to take leadership in two ways. I think working with civil society sector and empowering the bottom part, like communities and families must own it, must own the desire for children to be educated and well educated and succeed at it. That demand for a good education, it must stop inside the family. And then at the strategic level, these serious investments need to be made. So, from policy and budgetary cycle terms, I'm not Mrs. first time, 4 or 5 years, I think we can overcome this. Building these spaces and seeing STEM as a critical component of it, mainstreaming it. And STEM means start low primary, but must go right through to senior. And looking at senior and saying what should be the focus for senior, that we're not just doing anything and everything somebody is suggesting, but that senior is strategic. It can't do everything, but therefore must do the most strategic offerings, course offerings for the kind of society and economy we're trying to build. And then government then can say, okay, the cost of truly educating a child, him also at these various subsectors of the system. Right now, if you may say, and government's trying to do it for cost of policing, for example, or cost of public healthcare system. So if you ask the question, well, what now the cost of educating a child, say, primary and then junior secondary and then senior secondary, and then TVET and senior. If we did that, those costs, questioning themselves, how can we do this and do it better? Also, Joel, let me say about teacher Bloem Lo Florence Young, Jenny. Even if you did not have all the teaching materials and resources available to you, but you're a creative, innovative, inspired teacher, and the product, the student will be the outcome of that. And we want to encourage more teachers like that, but not to hamper them with the lack of resources and equipment. You know, in the classroom, Bharava, number one person now, the person standing in front of the student. And number two now, that student. We've got to focus on what does it make those two to tango so that there's true, inspired, exciting learning happening between those two. Then that informs policy. Okay, or something also now must happen.
You touch on him. I think we will hear him snippets of it, glimpses of it. But Milak ask him a question. If you could imagine Solomon Islands in 20 years or 30 years with an education system that works, what now piksa hem kamlo mind believe time you think about him this whole system?
STEM no baro call him and STEM for you me deliver, we must have more science teachers. And for us to have more science teachers, of course, we must offer better scholarships, more incentives. The scholarships are higher a little bit, allowance higher for inducing students into the sciences as teachers. So we pay them better. And excuse me, schools leadership must appreciate him, a focus. So that means policy must change. And then, of course, STEM must carry through to SINU, Don Bosco, Vanga, and all the other vocational training schools must be upgraded. We, in many, many years when the churches now start in schools and then start in rural training centers, they've played a critical role in educating Solomon Islanders. And when those were started, especially Ogata church secondary schools, they were educating for government jobs because not enough people to work the administrative positions time colonial government out. So it was clear what they were doing. They were educating a minority to run the country, both at administrative and political levels. That's no longer the situation. And so since that time, you may run out also, what na purpose you may educating what people blame me lohem. And then churches start in rural training centers. At that time, you may educating people for productive village living. It's still relevant. Many people live in villages. They need to have skills that are help them to be productive in the rural area. But I think we can do better than that now. We're in a much smaller global village. Labor mobility, many of our people are going overseas. Educational opportunities open. All of our rural training centers must now no longer just be rural training centers, training for rural villages. We're training for life in the world. That you can survive and take the opportunities in front of you anywhere in the world. That you must do. And I think it's doable, it's achievable. But of course, the questions of resourcing now require government to provide leadership.
So thank you. So just before we go to our questions and answers with the public, just one last question, Noma. And that question is just what is one major change, Noma, by your doing the education system? Why, and that will actually shift the whole trajectory of system. And what do you think is that one change you need for doing?
Well, me talem lo campaign, but go me lose. So I think that one now people less lo him now go Solomon Island Democratic Party no win him every seat. Meeting say by people like him too much by every seat here, but give him lo Solomon Island Democratic Party. But if there was only one change to make, and there are not, there must be other changes, then that one change would be free education. I have come right across our beautiful islands, many parents, fathers, mothers, who have cried and shed tears lo me that ogat piknin blowet no go past Form 3 or no garem selen. And garem 2 or 3 lo high school cannot afford them everyone, so everyone must drop one file, no one must go. That is an unnecessary problem for this country. The education of one Solomon Islander child is not just to the benefit of that family or that child, it's to the benefit of entire Solomon Island society and economy, and therefore we must invest in it. So free education, meaning completely free, it must happen. And we're not the first to do it. We won't be if we did it. We won't be the first. And the other countries that have done it, they've done it for much longer. But our policy is to say, do it for 25 years, one generation. Then after that, you will know by what young man by you will all know that time, but you will then decide whether to continue to extend it for another generation. That I think would be a single most productive change, investment in our society and economy through the education system.
Yes, yeah, I mean, totally agree. I think there's a comment which reflects this hope. Hoping that SIDP would want them to yeah. I'm saying, oh, me na eldest in the family, me losing what the parents for me. So I have to leave university, finding work for paying school fee with the siblings now. So I think that really shows the crisis we're in, but also the hope we can have for changing our education system. Anyways, we'll come to our questions and answers with the public and engaging with the public. Yeah. So we'll have the first question. Yeah. Joel, you want to take the lead?
This one I'm also hard talk lo BBC, man.
Yeah, direct question.
Yeah, man.
So this one from William Seka Takataka. Addressing you come now, say, Mati Wale, me votable SIDP candidate, and candidate me win. Me vote because me bara believe na lo free education policy. And me sabe that SIDP have no in power, so me no blaming party for that one. But question blomina is, can you give us some advice or hope to keep going? Then at the end, I'm saying, no matter what happened, by me still support him SIDP and vote for SIDP.
Hey, William, you touch him hard, Plomilo, this one. And I think what you must do is talk to others. We must take the long-term view. We need to win the next election. It's unfortunate that I'm talking about the next election already when this parliament House only just started. But we have to take the long-term view. And I think there is an awakening. I think the message where Yumi go around Waitimlo last election was very clear. And people like him. That's my interpretation of the results. And the vote for change was quite large. The new ones come, plus the CARE candidates where win should have been a majority. That I take that as a mandate for change. However, as you know, politics blow me is that the new independents come and go back joining the old government. So now you me stuck where it is. So yes, it is disappointing. It's discouraging. Pray hard, work hard for next one. Yumi must win, and not only win, and then implement him the policies. So a little bit time yet here, unfortunately.
Another question, right?
Yeah, so there's another question. I'm a little long one, but it's good to engage with the public. So I'm saying, then we talk about the education system.
Sorry, who na to?
So this one is Rocky Urabana. Or I say pronounce him correct, but apologies. So I'm saying, what kind of education system na ba addressing na issue some with technology or TikTok, so where take out na time to begin for study. There's peer groups, and this time takaman the drinking habits of students. Some would say go form 3 but drink na. So what kind of education system na do we have here? Then go and talk about the Staka vocational schools, the USP and SINU. And I think at the last part na his question is, so how can this education system really address these issues of, I guess it's societal issues, but how can we address our people with all these, I guess, globalization, you could say, but changes happening, but how?
Yeah, I obviously me old man a little bit now, and in the earlier days, of course, me school come through law church system, church schools, discipline now baro key. And I think this all the issues where hemi raise him here, hem here also, well, him point to one aspect of it anyway, is that discipline within our education system, discipline on students and staff and teachers, los schools hemi perhaps not where it should be. You can tell a good school by the leadership of that school. And conversely, if you see students really performing well in a school, it's highly likely there is good leadership there. And discipline now barawa key. So this, I think, is an ongoing challenge that must be tackled, that in the education system, leadership of schools, principal, head of school, head of subjects, and also they need to live up to the standards expected. And the best pedagogy in the education system is just by example. No more. Teacher where he come to class, he teach about mouthful of bill not here. By producing more students, mouthful of bill not to here. Teacher where break time, then go to smoke hide, logot se go pam lo swamp behind school. By producing more students, we go to smoke to here. Okay, kind something also. Or teacher where go dadarang all about and also. What student look into example is the best pedagogy. So important that school leadership take this one on. I think churches represent perhaps the best intervention because churches traditionally have been very, very good law discipline. But of course, provincial city council schools are far more relaxed law this one. And this, I think, is a policy question going forward. That perhaps we should get more and more of our schools currently under provincial governments and city council into the hands of churches. Then we resource the churches to provide better governance. That, I think, is an open policy question to address some of these challenges.
I think someone to mention in terms of policy, whether to even consider teachers, or somehow you tell them the key person, excuse me, in the classroom, for what to tisimot, instead of a secular university or something or something, because as you say, pedagogy is taught but also caught, and practice with him doing la frante him too bypass. Another question from Alwin. Him say there's been a gap between English, Pidgin, and ethnic languages, where students try to cope, especially low village and low provinces and low remote schools, where okat no garem exposure to English, but English na obviously language. So him say, should there be a bridging system to help students learn English from their own languages to better understand English and improve learning?
This one for a favorite pet topic blomina. This is, multilingual education. And of course, it's for aware law one of the Matskis have been doing. There's been trials lo Saa and lo Tawatana lo Makira, and I think perhaps one other place, and where I think up to year 3 or year 4, teaching is only in the vernacular, only in the language no more. And then after that, ogata introduce him ogata golo English. What they have found now is those students are now in high school and they are the top performers all over, not just the bright students, everyone now. Wow. So the transition from learning grammar in your own language or learning math in your own language to then learning it in English, they have found to be very, very smooth and much more efficient, much quicker. Students grasp concepts in English much quicker when they can relate it to their own mother tongue. So I think to plug that gap is not so much in the middle or at the top end, but for start come low down now. Right. Unfortunately, Ministry of Education here, every year, me ask lo PAC what they're doing about it. They're doing nothing about it. Why? Resources. So mo kat fry team no mo. Ba something o chelo New Guinea and fail. But I think it's only because o kat fright nothing. We should embrace it and face it over a number of years, so that most, if not all, of our primary schools, especially rural areas where you got one for language no more, or perhaps 2 for language no more, And then you train the teachers in those languages to be able to teach. Baham good Thomas, I'm excited by that. I would love to see it mainstreamed, but unfortunately ministry got him the same enthusiasm for it just yet.
Yeah, thank you. So we have another question from Jared Alu. Sam talk about him. Our education system is designed in a way that go hem limit him potential bloomy. And this issue issue me facing year after year now. And go said to address it we must reform our education system. Go said, but if you look in today's world this time, there are learning opportunities everywhere. Stakaatumas. And we can talk about artificial intelligence. You type in go, can you teach me this outcome? Or you go to YouTube, there's a lot of resources like YouTube too. So I'm asking, so why not transform our education system to ensure that you may no longer facing these problems of failure? What I think like with technology and this modern world we're facing, and I guess our country is coming at odds. What do you think?
Yeah, that's the kind of thinking we need in the system. If no mate, must train for tise. Must headmaster one school. I mean, one of the challenges that perhaps a group could get together and take on would be, let's start a school, or a school system, and those ideas you may practice it, you may put them out there. A school that embraces the modern technology and what's offered out there. But I suppose in terms of overall system is you want to equip students with not only values but the capacity to think for themselves. So when they're engaging with AI, they're not letting the AI think for them. The AI can garner all the resources on the internet and publications and the rest of it, but it won't give them the conclusions they're looking for. That's informed by values and their own intellectual capacities to process that information and contextualize it to what they're trying to do. So that's what the education system must do, equip our people to think so that in whatever situation, faced with whatever technology, they are above it. They can think and synchronize, synthesize the information that's before them. But the question here come from a very creative mind here, so I'm really encouraged to hear that.
Yeah. Yes, that's a very good question.
Yes.
Anyways, we've come to our end of our podcast, our talk story, our discussion. I've certainly learned a lot today as well, and thank you so much, Honourable, for your time, and looking forward for the next talk story more.
What topic now next one?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think topic for next podcast will be on climate change. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, this one we will lang like MNI.
Yeah, that's another big issue we as a country we are facing. Yeah.
One of our sisters, by come talk, Cynthia.
Yes. A worldwide.
Oh, world renowned.
Recognized.
Yes. That's right.
Expert,
Taruna.
Very good. Well, look forward to having Cynthia.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.